Hey, Meoni here. 10 things I want in the future of Island Sanctuary. And no, I don't mean things that are incredibly obvious to fill this list, like more land plots or more animals to capture or more buildings or more skins. That's too easy. That's way too easy. We could think of 1,000 things for that. I mean different things, new features, new ways of doing things, quality of life. Stuff like, number one, would be creature glams, right? So what's the point in having alligators if you can't fill your entire island with them, right? Make it so that we can feed Mr. Chicken over here a glamour prism, and then you can change his visual appearance to something else, even for a time limit, I don't mind, and still keep the materials that I would usually earn from them. Probably Mr. Chicken was the bad example, but you know what I mean, like, the farm, basically, if you're going to be optimal about it, requires a set amount of materials, and a lot of the rarer creatures don't offer that as an option unless you give them the premium feed. So, it would be nice to have some kind of reason to have them. But yeah, I digress. Seafaring missions for the granary. So I'd like the idea of us building a boat that we can send on trips, similar to the submarines and airships we have for free companies, but obviously not as difficult to craft. That would be the number one thing. But what is an Animal Crossing game without a kind of boat? And whilst we're talking about this kind of boat that would, be able to be sent on missions to get materials, how about there's just a boat instead that shows up on the island somewhere and tries to sell us unique and rare Island Sanctuary skins for our workshops or landmarks that may or may not be legitimate items of interest? That would be really cool, having an NPC visit. I do like the idea of NPCs. More stuff to do with friends. I'm not asking for gathering or being able to help you with your farm, because obviously this is supposedly by design an isolated activity for the most part. But how about some minigames, right, that mean nothing? How about we throw some hoops in the sky and we have an air race course? Or maybe, you know how the firmament has those fate events where you chop wood and like you build things? Why not have a contest to see who can chop wood the fastest or something? How hard would that be to put in? But ultimately, I think it would be really cool to see like an island country fair where NPCs visit from like the previous storylines you've completed, and then you can do some mini games like shooting balloons with their shooting mini game that's already in the game that was added a very long time ago, I think in Stormblood. Stuff like that to get people together would make Island Sanctuary feel more like a real home than a barren wasteland full of mammoths. Fishing. I mean, I don't know how this couldn't be on the list. I don't know how it would work, but there is water that is just begging to have a rod tossed into it on this island. Maybe a special island rod that you craft like the other tools. Just add more materials to the list that you could use to make things for the, for your workshops, and another way of getting them through fishing. And I don't mean a spear fishing, that does not count. I mean an actual rod. There's no need to make it like outside fishing. You could, I guess you could even reintroduce 1.0 fishing just for the island if you wanted to. Actually, no, let's not do that. If you want a taste of what 1.0 gathering was like, go to the Gold Saucer and do the Finer Miner and the Chopping Wood minigame. Those were actually the ways of gathering materials in 1.0. Little bit of trivia for you. But yeah, fishing would be cool. It's the first thing I thought of when they talked about this Island Sanctuary feature at the start. And I was, like many people, a little bit disappointed when we couldn't exploit those shimmering blue waters and the bounties within. Alright, next one is quite a fun one. Lost Pirate Treasure. I would love, since this is, as you probably know if you read the quest text for the island, an old disused pirate hideaway. So where's the plunder then? Another great and probably addictive mode would be treasure hunting. Again, there's no need to make it like the one in the regular game where you do treasure maps, but how cool would it be if you got like, I don't know, a metal detector and you played the hot and cold minigame from Eureka where you followed it around and you could find little boxes, and in the box had a chance to have a piece of a map, and if you pieced all the pieces of the map together you could find the location of a dig sign. You dig there and you would get a box full of random goodies, and you could have very incredibly rare chances of getting a mount or minions or glamour or whatever you want. That would get people so incredibly addicted, you have no idea. But it would also make sense with the setting, right, with the hidden plunder. Even scraps of lore, actually, to do with those pirates and some of the world that we could add to our unending codex would be really nice, actually. It would be fascinating. So yeah, that's one I would like for sure. Next up, an etherite. Now, look, it's not a massive deal going to the guy in Morobe Dry Docks, but I kind of just wish we could teleport directly to the island. Maybe we could butter up our contacts in Old Charlian now that we've helped them out. Perhaps they could ship us an etherite, just stick that on a boat and ship it over and stick it on the beach or something. It doesn't have to be perfect, just stick it in the ground. I think the only reason we don't have one is probably because of the AFK timer on the island. So it ports you to Morobe, which is a nearby etherite. So maybe that was a conscious decision to reduce congestion. Fine, I guess that's not going to work. Well, instead, let's use number 6 for something else. How about making it so that we can let our mounts chill out on the island without us needing to ride them? We can do the same for minions. How cool would it be to just plop out our dragons that we've collected? Think of the flexing potential for your visiting friends for those savage mounts that people have been acquiring. It would just be really nice, I think, to have a stables area. Put maybe 5 mounts out of your choosing and let you pet them. Nice, easy, fun feature until you realize that we have stuff like the regalia. I suppose you could pet the regalia if you really wanted to. That would be weird, but why not, right? Why not? All right, number 7 is easy. Breeding. No, not that kind. Stay away from Limsa. Sheesh. Right, let us make mounts. I look at these animal models in my farm and I go, maybe if we pet this enough and be nice to it, he might just unlock as a mount I can collect. That would be amazing. I think a lot of people hoped that we could do this from the start. Also, this would mean that we would be able to get an alligator mount. I'm just saying, that would be pretty badass. So yeah, I would love to see mounts as a reward for being a caring and loving rancher for a long time, or maybe even breeding with the offspring as a reward as a minion or a mount. That would be really cool. We've had something similar in World of Warcraft before with the raptors, right? Where you rear them up and you tame them essentially. Something like that would be cool. My 8th choice is a retainer bell. I'm lazy, all right? And I don't think I need to elaborate on this too much, but it would be really handy to have. What? That I can see the comments already. Too dull? Fine. All right. We're not going to go with retainers, in which case I'll choose my 8th choice as timers. All right, so Control U in the game on the keyboard opens the timers menu. Make it possible to track when crops will be ready to gather and when animals ready to gather on this menu. That's what it's for, right? That's what this menu's for. I would love that quality of life change. Any way to know when things are ready from outside the island would make keeping on top of your island much easier. Just gonna say, I know both of those were probably dull, but they're both viable as that slot. I think for number 9 on this list, I think I'm gonna have to say a guest tent or shack on your beach would be a cool idea. Have a random NPC visit occasionally. Let them walk around your island. Beyond communication with the NPC, I'm not really sure what else you could do with them, but it would be nice to have the Scions occasionally visit, or just old quest NPCs that just come along and say hi and hang out a bit on your island and wish you well. It would just be one step closer to the dating simulator that people have asked for on the forums for a very long time, and I think they were even considering it at one point, if I remember correctly. Hanging out with your best bro Estinian, eating squid, for example, on the beach, or drinking tea with Lise, just so that we can lure her into the alligator pen and feed her. I mean, the possibilities for RP and just populating the island are endless, but I think that would be really cool. And lastly, since I can only pick 10, and technically I've already cheated, even though, as you can see, there are potentially hundreds of things that people would want, is naming the island. I mean, it's really simple. Seeing people at their unnamed island is a bit sad if you ask me. Yeah, I know it's not the biggest change, not going to be the highest priority on everyone's list, but it would just be nice if we could. I know people will be rude about their names, so let's just address that first and foremost. let's just have a name selection thing, like when you name a chocobo. So if you've ever done chocobo breeding in the Gold Saucer, you go up to it and you name your new race chocobo, like Lightning Thunder or something like that. You know, just have a selection of island appropriate names that we can fit together, adjectives and words. Put words together that they choose for you, so you can't be rude. That would be impossible, right? I don't know. Anyhow, that's 10-ish kind of things that I would love to see in Island Sanctuary going forward. What are your ideas? I'm sure you're brimming in the comment section with ideas. Throw them in the comment section. Let's see how creative people are, and we might read through those in a future video. Much love, have a great one, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.